Cindy.
Yay, I'm a panelist. What you're going to do is in 2 more minutes, and you can see that right now you have 4 attendees.
Yes.
Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
So what you want to do is at 1 p.m. you're going to want to. There should be a start a Facebook Live or post a Facebook Live as one of your buttons. Share on Facebook.
Yes. Live on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. So you'll want to start. And I'll watch. You could obviously start talking right away, but I'll let you know when I'm seeing it.
Okay, and the people on here that have already joined, I won't be able to hear them. They'll have to raise their hand, and then I'll be able to unmute them.
You'll be able to unmute them, or I can read we can have them put the questions in the Q&A or the chat too.
Okay.
That's up to you.
Okay, if it's like a quick question, then we can just read it. But if they want to talk, then we can unmute them.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to do the Facebook Live. 3, 2, 1.
You can say hi even while we're waiting for it to show up.
Hello, everyone. It's telling me that it's setting up the webinar for Facebook Live, and
you're on.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we had a little background there, but welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am here to talk about empowering your kids, because when your kids are empowered, when they are independent and making choices in their life that you are incongruent with, that you're in alignment with, then your family is more cohesive. Their life is more cohesive. And if they learn that in childhood, then they take that into adulthood. And so it's really important, and it just makes for a happier life long term, and it helps their kids also have a foundation, because they're going to be parenting their kids the way that you are parenting them. So my number one goal for my life is kids. I love kids. I'm here for kids. Kids have always had an affinity for me. I haven't always enjoyed kids, but I started having them. I have 3 of them, and I got really good at really enjoying them. So for those of you who don't know me, I have a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, he just turned 11, and a 17-year-old. So I have this wide range. We just got through, the toddler years, and we're prepubescent kids right now that are about to go through puberty. And then I have a teenager who kind of went through all of that, and she's about to go to college. And so it has definitely been a journey, and I've learned a lot. And the number one thing that I've learned that I want to share with you today is that every child has 4 basic needs. And whenever these needs get met, then things just flow, and you have better communication, you have a more cohesive bond with your child, and they want to contribute to your family. And there's just so much harmony and joy that happens. And whenever the anger happens or the power struggles happen, it gets dealt with. It doesn't get stuffed down deep inside, and then later on you blow up at your husband, or you blow up at a friend or a coworker because you're upset with what's going on in your family. And those needs every parent can recognize in their child, because based on not what the child is doing, not what the child is misbehaving or not. You will know that need based on how you, the parent, feel. So if you, the parent, are feeling annoyed, then you will be able to recognize that your child is asking you for a need to be met, and that need is attention. Attention is a legitimate need that we all, even as adults, need. We will always need attention in our lives, right? But we don't always have the language or to ask for that. And kids don't have the language. They don't have the maturity. They don't always have the ability to even recognize, I don't know. I know what I need, and this is what I need. Give me some attention, Mom, you know? So you, the parent, are going to be able to distinguish what your child needs based on how you feel. And I want to give you a quick example. If you made coffee, which I love coffee, but if you made a pot of coffee and your partner came in and asked for some coffee, and you filled his coffee cup about a fourth of the way, he would quickly drink that coffee and ask you for some more because he's used to drinking 1 cup of coffee. And you give him some more coffee, but you only fill it up a fourth of the way. He's going to quickly drink that coffee and ask you for some more. The same with attention. When someone keeps asking you for more, or it bugging you, you start getting really annoyed that, why do they keep asking me for coffee? I just gave them some, you know? That annoyance, that feeling that you, the parent, have about your child's behavior is going to tell you that, oh, my child is actually making a request for attention. And the reason that they are asking in the request for attention isn't, hey, Mom, I really appreciate how you always spend time with me and you really care about me, and the way that you care about me is by listening to me. Right now, I'd really appreciate it if you could just sit down, stop what you're doing, and listen to me. That is not how they ask us for attention, but they need it. They really do. And so if we, the parent, can anticipate that our children is going to need attention and make space and time for our child to just lavish them with attention and block out all distractions. No other children are going to come in and interrupt. You're not cooking and giving them attention. Your phone is in the other room. You are focused on them for a certain time. You're going to really feel and have that. They're going to feel like they have your total attention, that you heard every word that they said, and their attention cup is going to get filled up. And when their attention cup gets filled up, they don't keep coming and asking you for attention, or they don't keep repeating behaviors that annoy you and give you that signal that, oh, my kid is asking for attention. And so if you can anticipate, okay, this child, my younger kids, they need more attention from me than my teenager. As kids get older, they need less attention from their parents, from their core family, and they need more attention from their friends. And so my daughter gets a lot of her attention from her friends, and she chooses friends that care about her, respect her, honor her, and it's positive attention, and it's not pressure. Although all kids have that, right? But the next need that every child has is their need to feel in control, their need for safety, for a foundation, to feel like they're in charge and to be independent. And what that can look like is if you are telling your child to clean up their Legos, and they don't want to clean up their Legos because they want to keep playing with their Legos. But you, the parent, are mad that they have their Legos out in the living room, and you want that space cleaned up. You want their Legos moved to their room, but they don't want to clean up their Legos. No, I'll do it later. I'll do it in 5 minutes. Give me more time. No, do it now. No, do it now. To the point where you, the parent, may even pick up your child's hand and force them to pick up the Legos. Or you might just start throwing all their Legos in their Lego bin and pulling it into the room with them screaming and crying. You're gonna feel very stubborn. You're going to feel inflexible. You're going to feel like you have to do this or else. You're going to be very, very certain this is what you have to do. And that is telling you that your child is requesting power. Your child needs to feel powerful. And it's important that they learn how to feel powerful as a child so that they can carry that and experiment with that while they're young, and then be powerful when they're older. And so as your child and you are having this power struggle and you are feeling like, oh, they have to do this, you can understand, maybe not in that moment, but later, oh, that was a power struggle. How can I handle that differently? When you are having a power struggle with your child doesn't feel like they have any control, and they long to be independent and have control. And you want that, right? As a parent, you want them to be independent and learn how to dress themselves and cook for themselves and do their laundry and those things. And if you don't give them power and teach them how to handle power and how to have power, then then you're going to kind of pretty much be doing a lot of things for them and not be very happy about that as they get older. So I just want to check in real quick. Cindy, do we have any?
No questions yet. Heather says hi.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's just joined us. All right. So the next need that I want to talk about is the need for a child to feel capable. A need for a child to feel like they are able to complete a task or do something. And sometimes as a child, let me ask you if this has ever happened to you. You tell your child, okay, grab your backpack and get your shoes on and turn off the light in the restroom, and I'm going to meet you in the car, and I'm going to take you to school. So come on, we got to hurry up. Be in the car within 5 minutes. And 5 minutes go by, and your kid's not in the car. And you are frustrated because you're trying to get them to school on time. And you go in the car, you go back in the house, and you see your kid playing with Legos. And you're confused. And you're like, what are you doing? Or your kid's just sitting there and like kind of daydreaming, looks like they're thinking about something else. And you're like, what's going on with you? Like, I know you know how to get your backpack. I know you know how to turn off lights. I know you know how to tie your shoes. Why aren't you doing it? When you, the parent, are confused about your child's behavior, what that's telling you is that your child is overwhelmed. Yes, they can complete the task that you've given them, maybe, but grouping it all together like that overwhelm them. And so whenever we can break it down in smaller pieces for a child, it can support them in feeling confident and capable of completing a task. And as kids get older, if they can understand how to break down their homework, or how to break down a chore, or how to break down an assignment, a work assignment, then they'll feel capable, like they can get it done. They know when they need to ask for support, and they know where they can take the lead. I'll give you one example. One in our house, I'm a single mom, and so my kids and I, we all do chores, all of us. And one son has a chore of doing the laundry for the entire household. And it is an arduous task, washing laundry for that many people. And it used to be my daughter's chore, but now that she's getting ready to go off to college and my boys are getting older, they are having to take on more responsibilities. And he was just completely overwhelmed. The laundry wasn't getting done. We weren't having our clothes washed. My daughter started washing her own clothes. I started washing my own clothes, but my boys didn't have any clothes. And so at our family meeting, we started talking about it. And I'm like, but I've seen you wash clothes. I know you know how to do it. Like, you know what setting to put it on. You know how much soap to put in. You know how to clean the dryer and this and that. You know how to put the darks in this basket and the jeans in that basket and he's like, yeah, I know how to do it, but I'm still so overwhelmed. And so we started experimenting with how can we break this down into smaller tasks. And over a period, like a month, once a week we have family meetings. And so over a month, we kind of figured out and tweaked things a little bit. And what we came up with is everyone gets a laundry basket in their room, and you put your clothes in that. And then one son brings it in, and then my son who does the laundry, he just takes the basket, he throws them in the washer, he washes the clothes, he dries them, he puts them back in that basket, and then he puts it in the room. And if you want your stuff hung up, you hang up your stuff. If you don't care if your stuff gets hung up, you leave it in the basket and it stays wrinkled. And that is what we had to do. He knew how to do the laundry, but it was just so overwhelming, as it can be. And now it's a lot easier. We have a basket just for towels, and it stays in the restroom, and he just takes the basket of towels and throws it in there. And then whenever you need a towel, he actually does fold up the towels and that we put in the restroom stuff. But we had to figure it out, and that gave him a lot of confidence going into the family meeting, saying this didn't work, and having everyone in the family give ideas and him choosing which idea he wanted to experiment with, and then us practicing that idea for a week, and then meeting again saying, okay, yeah, I didn't really like that. Like, it worked, but I didn't really like it. I still got really stressed, and the laundry didn't really get done for these people. And so when your child understands, okay, I have this much homework to do, and I have a week to do it, and I'm going to do this much homework on Monday, and this much homework on Tuesday, and this much homework on Wednesday, and then I'm done with my homework. And then I have Thursday and Friday to just hang out or do chores or whatever else they want to do. But helping them understand that really supports them in being confident and being capable. And as you know, when your child goes into the workforce, goes into college, takes higher level classes or takes extracurricular activities, you want them to have that confidence, and you want them to be able to have different ways of being able to accomplish whatever steps they have. And you as a parent are going to give them that as they get to those stages.
You did have, James brought up a question in the Q&A, and I think you probably answered it, but how is it possible to make them learn to be responsible and ask for help? I'd like to help, but not doing everything for them. I'd like to be a team with them.
That is a great question. And when you are checking in and keeping a pulse on your family regularly, once a week, you give them the time, let me explain this a different way. We have family meetings to do that. Because at our family meeting, if something is wrong, we talk about it at the family meeting. If there's an argument going on and my kids come to me, I tell them, okay, write it down, and we're going to talk about it at the family meeting if it's that big of a problem. If it's that big of a problem, they're going to talk about it at the family meeting. And I am going to talk about what I need support with, and if I've been doing too much for them or whatever, or, it sounds like you don't want to do everything for them, you're going to tell them, what, I feel like I've been doing more. And this week, I expect the living room to stay picked up, and I'm not going to pick it up. I'm going to ask everyone pick up their own toys, clothes, whatever, electronics, and keep it in their room. And then that week, whenever you see them leaving their stuff out, you don't pick it up. You write it down, you record it, and then you bring it to the next family meeting, and you say, okay, so I see a lot of people left their stuff out. I didn't pick it up, and the living room is a mess. What are we going to do the next time stuff gets left out? And an example that we did with my family when my kids were younger is they would leave their toys out. And I kept picking up after them, kept taking it to the family meeting. I kept picking up after them. I kept taking it to the family meeting. And then finally, we all decided that if they didn't pick up their toys, I would give them 2 warnings. After the second warning, I was going to throw it away. So the first warning was, please go pick up your toy. The second warning was, I'm about to throw your toy away the next time I see it out. And so, of course, they waited till the second warning until they got that, okay, I'm about to throw away your toy. Well, I started actually throwing their toys away. I couldn't believe it. They actually wanted me to throw their toys away instead of picking up. So then I said, okay, I threw the toys away. Actually, I gave them away to Goodwill because I couldn't bear to throw those toys away that I had paid for. And I was pretty upset about that. And so at the next family meeting, I said, I have been throwing some toys away. And I'm not happy about that because it shows me that, I feel like I didn't really care about the toy to begin with. And they kind of said, yeah, we didn't ask you to buy us that toy. It was fun to play with, but yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, well, for now on, I'm not buying you any more toys except for your birthday and Christmas. And so from that moment on, I never bought them a toy again. I still don't buy them toys to this day. And they have to buy their own toys. Well, funny thing is that whenever they buy their own toys, they take care of their stuff. They don't leave it out. And if they leave it out and I tell them, this is the next warning, I'm going to throw your stuff away, they run and go pick it up right away. And if they can't find a toy, they'll ask me, Mom, did you throw that away? Because they know I will do it. And they also know that because they have taken that for granted, it's gone. I'm not buying them any toys except for 2 occasions. And if they want something, they put it on their birthday list or their Christmas list, and they give that to me at that time. And that is a great way to support your kids in learning and understanding how to appreciate what they have and appreciate you cleaning up after them, because when they realize how often they clean up after themselves, they can kind of see the time and the effort that it takes.
Now you did, I don't know if you want to read it, but you did have a question in the Q&A from an anonymous attendee. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, because I don't actually see it. Is it in the Zoom or Facebook?
It'd be in Zoom. The Q&A box at the bottom, but it says, my 17-year-old generator son with open head, ajna, and will center started experimenting with smoking. I found out 2 hours and he promised not to smoke again. He's tried it 3 times at a group party. I'm still in shock. What tips would you suggest to handle this?
And so and tell me again, Cindy, he's 17?
17 with an open head, ajna, and will center.
Okay, I think that's really typical. I think a lot of kids are going to go to a party and have some type of pressure to do something or not do something. And I think that's really common. And number one, you want to talk to your kids before they get to that age. I know my daughter's 17 and she's done stuff. And she's talked to me about it and told me about it because we have an open communication. And that's also going to be key. And whenever your child knows that they can come to their parent and their parent will always tell them the truth, will respect them, will support them in taking responsibility with whatever happened instead of judge them and criticize them, then it really helps them feel confident to experiment with different pressures that are going on. Specifically for you and your son who's 17 and doing that, I would have a really candid conversation with him. I would do a technique that my daughter and I do, or we did a long time ago, but it's really great. We sit with our backs to each other and we talk about an important subject. And it can be a subject that's hard to talk about. It can be a subject that, we're scared of, we're intimidated by, or whatever. And she kind of just tells me whatever. And during this time, I tell her, you are completely safe. Anything you tell me, you're not going to be judged for. You're not going to be criticized for. I am going to relate to you. I'm going to be understanding. And that also does not mean that you get to get away with anything. If you tell me something and that where you need to take responsibility for something, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to come up with what we need to do. And so you sit with your backs to each other and you ask him questions about that, like what did it feel like to smoke, because a lot of times it feels really cool. Who doesn't look sexy smoking and being like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm so cool, look at me. It's a way for them to feel like an adult, because adults smoke, right? And he's going into adulthood and all his friends are doing it and they look cool doing it. And whatever perception they have of it, right? And the marketing and TV has done a great job of showing us how all the cool bad guys who are fearless and who are just total badasses can just smoke, and they're always smoking a cigarette or something. And really talk to him, like, how did you feel? Did you feel dizzy? What did you do when you felt dizzy? Like, did you feel cool? Did you feel accepted? Because probably the reason he's doing that is to get acceptance from some peers. Did people like you more? Just really get to the bottom of it and ask him all these questions that he may not have even have thought of or put words to. So that way he gets in the habit of analyzing his actions. We all do things we don't really know why we did, but if we can later think on it and analyze, why did I do that? How did I really feel? Like, I thought I was really cool at the time when I was like picking on this kid, but now I feel really bad. Why? And if you are forcing him to make a decision, like, I promise me that you're never going to smoke again, then be prepared to be lied to. Our kids want to make us happy. Our kids totally care about us and they love us. They want us to be happy. They really do. And if you saying, promise me you're never going to do it again, he thinks that's going to make you happy, he's going to say it, whether he's thought about it or not. Whether he's thought about or practiced how he's going to say no, he's going to tell you yes. And you have, because you want to maintain a connection with your son, you don't want to force him into a decision. You also don't want to let him think that there's not going to be any consequences. And so you can say, I understand that that's pretty cool, but if you go to a party again, same thing's going to happen. They're going to have it there. They're going to offer it to you. They might even pressure you more since they've seen you do it and now you're not doing it. And I want to know what's going on with you. I don't want you to feel like you have to be scared. And if you are smoking, and I'm assuming it's cigarettes, but if it's something else, if you're smoking and driving, not a good idea. I want you to be able to call me and say, hey, can you drive me home? And not let one of your other friends who's been smoking something they shouldn't be smoking and then driving. That is a bad idea. Talk to him about the consequences of what could happen between y'all, not natural consequences, which are, if you get pulled over by a cop, you're going to jail. You're getting a ticket. That ticket follows you for 7 years. That ticket does not go away. It costs you lots of money. And because I'm your parent, it's going to cost me lots of money. It's going to keep you from being able to drive. It's going to keep you from having a job. It's going to, it's going to be something that you're going to have to go to the courts. And I may have to do that too, because he's a minor. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but those are some of the natural consequences that are going to happen because of his actions. And ask him, what are the consequences between y'all? So if you do smoke again, how can I support you so that you make better choices? Do you need to, like, sometimes whenever families are supporting them, parents, to stop cussing, there's a swear jar, and anyone who swears has to put money in the jar. And money is a great way to get a kid's attention, by the way. But ask him, how can I support you so that you stop doing this? Or ask him, are you going to stop? And if you're not going to stop, what needs to change? Because if I know that you're going to continue to do this, and the consequences of that, the natural consequences, it's against the law, or it could keep you from getting a job. It could keep you from if you get a random drug test, I know that they do this at school too. My daughter gets drug tested at school, and you fail that, you're kicked out of school, you're suspended until you can come back and pass it. And so talking about those consequences, also talk about your consequences. If he's going to choose to continue to do this and be honest with you, then it's not allowed in my house. How do I know that it's not that you don't have it in my house? How can I trust you? And talk about that. Like my daughter, I want to give her as much privacy as I can, but I also, as a parent, want to keep a pulse on what's going on. And I don't want to all right, I'm going to go through your things today on Tuesday, make sure that they're ready for me, but you want to be able to trust that your kid's not, bringing on a consequence that you're going to have to face because you're the one who owns the home, right? And just really have conversations about that. And you're probably going to have more than one. You're probably going to have 3 or 5. And you're going to say, okay, now's a good stopping point because we both don't know what to do at this point. Let's come back in a week and see if we've thought of anything else. In taking that time to break or space with your son and get out of his energy and he gets out of your energy, and you can talk about it with your friends or your family or your coworkers, or you can think about it on your own. What's the worst that could happen? This and that. It's really going to give you that clarity and bring it back to him. And then you'll have conversations about it, and he's going to have things that maybe you haven't thought of, and you're going to have things that he hasn't thought of. But the whole time you're talking about it, you're bonding with your son. You're forming a connection, and you're telling him, you can trust me. You can trust me to listen to you, to hear what you have to say, and to respect you. Even though a decision doesn't always get made, that's what you're telling your son. And as you tell your son that over and over again throughout these conversations, then he starts to really trust you and believe you and respect you. And so, and just go and start there. And say he does bring it into the house, then okay, well, we need to have a conversation about this because that's not okay with me. And that's not okay with me. I feel really disrespected right now, and we're going to have to figure out what the consequences for this. Do I call the cops? No, I would never want to call the cops on my son, but this is illegal. This isn't supposed to be here, and, or, do I tell your dad and I'm not sure if you're married or not. Do I tell your dad? What do we do here with this? What do I do? I need your input. And having those conversations with him. And I think the best way to have it is whenever your backs are to each other, because he can't see your expressions and he's not saying something to make you smile, right? He'll know how you're feeling, but it's easier to be more candid when you're not constantly trying to please your parent or hurt your parent, right? And if they can see that you're if you're like, oh, I'm not hurt, you're trying not to be hurt, they might keep saying things until they get you to that point, until they hurt you, because that's what they want. That's their goal. And so not being able to look at each other, but having your back. And also something else, a body language thing is whenever someone has your back, that builds rapport subconsciously, and you'll also be surprised how you'll open up to your son. And so I hope that is something you can start with. But yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Whenever kids start experimenting with smoking and drinking, you want to start having conversations with them at an early age. I talk to my kids about it already, and I've been talking to them about it since they were 3 or 5. So,
James had a comment for you. Thanks for your time and lightness. How important is it to be a role model to show how to love myself? I am with an open G. My mother was never showing me this, so I wonder if it's just a trauma or if it's something what is important for my child. I like to show what my child needs to develop a powerful, responsible, and self-loving, self-caring, self-valuing personality.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably both. It probably is a trauma, and it's also something that you because in human design you have that open G center. You have this unique ability to go in and take other people's identity and really size them up pretty quickly. But when you do that, it's like you become that person for that period of time, and that's how you can kind of go in and go deep into that person's identity. If they have good care, if they have a strong character, if there's someone you want to hang out with, if you feel good about around them, if you feel bad around them. And your environment is going to be even more important, James. The people that you hang around are going to be even more important because you have that vulnerability. And that vulnerability gives you a lot of strength because you can quickly understand others who come in and out of your life. And you'll be able to understand your son's friends that come in and out of your life. You'll be able to understand his relationships whenever he starts dating because you have that ability. And so also notice that sometimes that ability can be expressed by not loving yourself or constantly needing people to approve you and tell you that they love you because you aren't giving that to yourself. And so that is going to be a big key in role modeling that for your child. And Cindy, that was a long question. Did I answer that? Is there another piece to it? Because I want to make sure.
Checking.
Okay.
So I think I'm with, James has the open G, and James' mother was never showing how to be a role model. So, I mean, would there be a trauma that James would have to work on? Is it something, as a parent, do you have to work on your own stuff? Or
yes. Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, your kids are going to bring what you need to work on out in you. Every relationship does that. The thing about our kids is that as parents, we have this underlying belief, or we had it at one time, that our kids will always love us. And our kids believe that about parents too, that our parents will always love us. And that gives you this security and foundation to a platform to kind of like experiment, if you will. And so because your son knows you'll always love him, he kind of acts out with you because he can trust you. And because parents will kind of do things to their kids that they maybe spank them or maybe put them down and criticize them, knowing, oh, my kid's always going to love me. There's this belief that all parents and kids reciprocate at some point in time. And so when those things come out, number one, be prepared for them. If you can anticipate how the conversation's going to go, practice. Literally practice with a friend or in the mirror what your son is going to say and how you're going to respond. Also, talking to your son about how can, at a family meeting, at a place where, or maybe just one-on-one, take him out to lunch where he has your full attention, you have his full attention. I'm not sure his age, but you can ask him, I ask my kids this, how can I be a better mom? And you can ask him, how can I be a better dad? I'm not saying you have to do what they say, because they might say, oh, my allowance, like something outrageous. But you can actually get a lot of information from your kids when you're asking them. They might even say nothing. You're great. I love you. You're amazing and you're awesome. And you can keep a pulse on how you're doing through them. You'll also see them act out. And just because they're acting out, it doesn't mean that you yourself are doing something wrong. And because you have, this and that, or their mom had this, it may not mean all those things that we can kind of sometimes attach to it. It may just mean that your kid saw it in his classroom or with another friend or in a TV show, and he's just experimenting with it. But keeping that open communication with their son is going to be really key. And again, sitting back to back and having candid conversations is going to help him trust you, because you build that instant rapport when your back is being held and y'all are leaning on each other's back subconsciously. And then he can start to talk to you, and you can actually start telling him things like, I'm kind of nervous to talk to you about this, or I think I know what you're going to say, or things like that, and then start talking to him about it. But if you can kind of prime the conversation with the emotions that you are anticipating, then it creates even more of a safe place. Because if you're vulnerable and telling your son, I'm nervous, I'm intimidated, I'm not, I think I know what you're going to say, or I don't know what you're going to say, you're in flux, it really supports your child to be vulnerable with you and open up too.
So I'm going to further ask that question. So as a parent with an open G, I mean, even when you're sitting back to back, aren't you kind of taking in, say your child has a defined G, or you're taking in some of the identity? I mean, is there ways that you can work with that so that, or is that a bonus? I mean, is that a benefit that you can kind of take on the identity of your child? Which way is it?
Yeah, I think it's a total benefit, right? I don't have an open G, but it would be a total benefit, in some cases. But if you are an open G and you are taking care of yourself, you're spending time with yourself, you're doing things that you enjoy, you are also being out in nature really helps you discharge energies that you picked up from other people. If you're sitting outside, on the patio, or putting your feet in the grass, or going to a park, that really supports you being able to get out of everyone else's energy and think about what you want to say to your son, or how you want to say it, and new routines and things that you want to establish. And if you come together with your son and you find that you're doing or saying something that surprises you, write it down or take note of it, because you want to go back and look at that when you're by yourself. Like, why did I agree to that? Or I have, in my family, my ex wanted to take my kids to a monster truck rally. Well, I have one son that has a defined G and another son that has an open G. And my open son G, when he's around me, he didn't want to do it. When he's around his dad, he wanted to do it. Or he told his dad he wanted to do it. When he came around me, he was like, I don't want to do that. I want to go to It's Pizza. So he asked me to tell his dad, which I did. And his dad was like, thanks, but I'll talk to our son about that when I see him. And so it was a little difficult because he had to practice being himself. And I talked to him a lot about it. I asked, and he is a projector type, and projector types need to talk about things. And so I asked him, well, like, if you, like, let's say you do go, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you do go? And he didn't want to go because it was going to be really loud. And so we got earplugs for him that he could take. And in fact, his dad actually had that, but his dad didn't tell him that he had it. His dad hadn't talked to him about those things. And so and then another thing was that his dad just bought the tickets and didn't even tell him about it, and just kind of surprised him with it for his birthday. Well, if it was just like a surprise, that'd be one thing, but because it was for his birthday, that meant he had to do something he didn't want to do on the day that is supposed to be his day. And that was another piece of it. And so after talking about it and everything, his dad ended up selling the tickets to the monster truck rally and is going to take him to It's. But it can definitely be interesting whenever you have an open G center. You're used to taking around the energies, and you know your son. You know what your son is like, and you become that whenever you're with him. And then whenever you're not with him, you're like, why did I say that? Or why did I agree to that? And that is, you want to start noticing that. I think a lot of people with open G centers, they need to have core rules or core values that they always adhere to so that they are comfortable. And those values or core beliefs or values can be, you know, I'm a person who is giving, or I'm a person who's loving, or I'm a person who's confident, or it could be something like, I always tell the truth. I tell the truth, or I respect other people, or I'm on time, or whatever those core values are for you. Think about them and write them down. 3 is probably a good amount. You don't want to have like 10 that you can't remember. But when you have something to stick to, even when you're around other people, you feel like you have that foundation, and you can say, okay. And if you go outside those core values, it's if you do something else, if you do something besides those core values, it's okay. It's still like you're good, you're in the water, you're in the flow. But if something comes up against those core values, that's when you know, okay, wait, this is not who I want to be. This is not part of the identity that I want to take on. And you know that is a person or an environment that you need to leave and not be in.
Okay, we had another question come in from an anonymous attendee. My 13-year-old projector daughter with an open G center is a role model hermit, 6'2". Mm-hmm. I feel my daughter needs to spend time in nature, but has been hibernating in her room a lot. She's homeschooled. I've taught her how to cook, and she washes her own clothes. She doesn't like the food I cook and doesn't share in family meals. What tips do you suggest for navigating this rebellion stage? I feel we're in a power struggle.
Okay, so can I unmute the anonymous attendee? Is that possible, or do you? Okay,
they would have to tell us their name in, let's see. I don't know if that's maybe in chat. Tanya, if that's you, could you put, or whoever.
Tanya?
Hi.
Hi, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your courage to come out here. It's not easy. It's not always fun either, but I really appreciate it because this is going to help a lot of people.
No, me with the 17-year-old son as well. So
okay,
it's like double whammy. But thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, and you know what? In the teenage years, it's really it's typical for a teenager to spend less time with the family. And if that's happening, then you need to establish some core rules. Like we all eat dinner together. You can eat breakfast here, you can eat lunch here, but dinner you need to come down for. Or if that's not important to y'all, then make dates. I take my daughter on dates. And I've been doing that since she was a teenager. And we sometimes do nothing. We just hang out all day, but we don't stay home. Because I don't want her hermiting up. I don't want her on her phone. You know, she has to give me her attention and I give her my attention. And we can go shopping without buying anything. We can go to bookstores and she's in this section and I'm in this section. So it's not necessarily like we're constantly talking. We're just spending time together and reestablishing that connection over and over and over again. And that is the and that's what you want to do, especially with a teenager. Their friends are becoming more influential whenever they become teenagers instead of parents. And so parents are going to take a back seat. Like, you know, whenever your kids are 2 and 4 and 6, they asked you why, mommy. They wanted everything from you. They wanted you to give them all the answers. And now as they're teenagers, they've gotten those answers for you and they're ready to experiment with some of those. And what that's going to look like is giving them a lot of space to do that. And you may have a lot of opinions about how she's spending her time, and she has some opinions about how she's spending her time. And so telling her you want to have a conversation with her whenever she's ready, within the next few days, whenever she can make time for it. Teenagers, give them a lot of space. Let them choose the circumstances and this and that, and be like, I want to talk to you. give me, I want it to happen within the next couple of days, and she can choose when that happens. Tell her it's going to be about 30 minutes. It shouldn't be more than that. But if it does go longer than that, then I want it to be able to go longer than that. So make sure you block out time for me, and sit with her back to back. Take her out in nature. That's what you want for her. Go to a park and sit with her by a tree, or sit with her back to back, and tell her, look, I feel I have these opinions about you, and I want to talk to you about them. And I may be crazy, I may not be crazy, but I am not getting a lot of feedback from you. And so I'm telling myself all these stories, and I need to get some clarity about that. Number one, I think you should be in nature. And you're not. And she's going to be like, what? Why do you want me in nature? What does that mean? Why does my mom want me outside more? And you can explain to her, well, I've been learning human design, and it says this, and I think it would really support you. And the reason I think that is because I want to support you. That's the underlying really belief. And when she understands, oh, my mom doesn't want to make me outside, because I will tell you, I used to lock my kids outside during the summer so they would play outside. So kids I don't know if you ever did that, but my kids, they do play outside, but they also are like, are you going to lock the door? So there might be some trauma there. I'm from Texas, and it gets really hot in the summer. So kids are forced to use the water hose to cool off, and if their parents lock them outside, and then they, they can be traumatized maybe by going out in nature too much. I'm not sure where y'all are from, but
The UK. I live in the UK.
Okay.
The thing is, she used to climb trees and go cycling. It's like we had this, I think this idyllic family where we had family meetings and home, and being out in nature, cycling. And then it's been when she's turned 12, just sort of like went into sort of hibernation mode. She didn't want to go to school. So then I took her out. She asked to be homeschooled. And so I explained to her that I had to have a sacral yes response, that the timing had to be right, for me. And so we went through this whole process last year, to follow my design as well.
Yeah.
I suppose the question is with the hibernation thing is, she's been hibernating, and then it was like last night. So she's been in a room and I've been out, and I came home thinking she's in a room as she spends time in a room. And she never goes for a walk, and was like, got home and she was in the room. She decided to go for a walk at night and had a phone on airplane mode. So it was sort of the shock of coming home, not, doing Find My iPhone, and not trying to, and so it's dark. And so it was just a shock. And then it was like, because I've looked at her human design, she's got the gate 36 in her moon, which is, new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the provoking gate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a sense of her wanting to cause me pain. Like she was, because we nearly called the police. And when she was walking home, I sort of was going to look for her. She came home smiling. It's like she knew exactly. She's never ever going out in nature to walk. And she decides, at night. So it's like all these sort of, with the whole hibernation and going out. I'm like, wow, this has been like an intense 12 hours.
So, Tania, let me ask you, how did you feel when that happened? Did you feel annoyed and frustrated? Did you feel stubborn, like you wanted her to force her to do something? Did you feel confused, or did you feel like you wanted to get revenge on her? She just hurt you. Now you're going to ground her, or you're going to spank her, or you're going to take something away from her so that she feels the pain that she put you through.
It was actually profound trauma and shock. For those moments where we didn't know where she was, I was just basically like nearly in tears. And
when you found her, you knew she was safe. Because, when you don't know your kid's safe, you're freaking out. Mama Bear's coming out, and she's going to search and rescue and find and destroy anything or anyone that could have even slightly have hurt her baby girl. But after you knew she was safe, after that happened, how did you feel? And be honest, please.
It wasn't revenge, but it was an energy of I think it was an energy of shock that she would do that. And I'm not even sure because we haven't really had the discussion yet. What was the 5 categories you had?
The first is frustration and annoyance. The next one is stubbornness, like you wanted to force her to do something. The third one is confusion. And the last one is...
confusion. It was confusion with like, I didn't know, you sort of have this like conscious parenting and, you tick all the boxes and then to sort of come home and I didn't know, because she knows my deepest fear, of her being raped, because I was raped as a teenager. And so it was more sort of confusion. It's like like she knew that and sort of playing to that sort of fear, so I saw that. So I thought, okay, I got some more fears within my, my own body to release that fear.
Do you think
myself?
Do you
but
think
I allowed her to see my tears. I allowed her to see my tears, because normally I'm quite happy-go-lucky. Normally it would be like consequence. I didn't go there. I thought, okay, what I need to be with Melissa is to actually show my vulnerability, that I'm not some super mom that knows about human design and conscious parenting and blah, blah, blah. I got a big toolbox. Like, yeah, it's just a mom. Like I showed her that I was just a mom concerned, for her. And that I do love her, because she sort of says, oh, you love math. You love Matthew more than me. So she's got the open G center projector. I'm a manifesting generator and Matthew's a generator. And so there's this thing of like, oh yeah, you love Matthew more than me. It was almost like she was testing me to see, oh, does my mom really love me?
Yeah. You hit the head on the nail. That's exactly what she was doing. And that is revenge. When you are testing your parents to see, so you can get proof that they love you, you've gone from the need of attention through the need of power. That need hasn't gotten met, or you start with attention. If that need doesn't get met, you go into power. You go into power struggles. If your need for power doesn't get met, you go into inadequacy, which is you stop participating. She's not in school. She's not participating in family dinners. She's not out in nature. And then if your needs still don't get met, you go into revenge. And revenge is where you basically want to hurt each other. Your daughter wants to hurt you because if she can hurt you, that means my mom loves me. If my mom can respond to me, then my mom loves me. And so your daughter is seeking your love. And that is not the way you want your kid to seek your love, right? It's scary. And
no.
It's painful.
Because I asked her last year, I said, Melissa, what can I do to be a better mom? I actually asked that question. And I bought the love language book, by Gary Chapman. Mm-hmm. And we're going like asking a question. I said, Melissa, I'm going to do whatever it takes to find out what's your love language. Like, how do you want mommy to love you? And her response was, oh, it's a good thing you're going to be living until an old age. So you got like, many decades to find out how to love me. So there's no sort of, way in.
So what's happening is you are seeing that she's going into revenge. You're seeing this shift in her, and you're saying, okay, let's figure this out. Let's do something. And she's saying, oh, what? You think I'm going to change overnight? She needs more proof that you're going to be there. Because in her perception, and I'm not saying this is accurate, okay? But in her perception, she doesn't feel your love. She isn't receiving your love for whatever reason. And so she is saying, oh, yeah, you're really going to do that? Well, what she's really saying when she does that is prove it. Prove that you're going to be around for the long haul. Prove that you're going to keep giving me attention. Prove that you're going to keep supporting me. And so when she makes those sarcastic jokes, she's saying it to take a dig at you, but it's also because she doesn't believe that you're going to keep up the effort and put effort into her, which you are. I know you are. I know you are as a parent, because you're here on this call and because you have the courage to talk about this with all of us. And that's extremely vulnerable. And so I know you're going to do anything for your daughter, and you care about her, and she is going to shift. She is going to change. You just have to keep doing it over and over. And I think if you can, the thing about projectors, they already know. I have this friend who's an acupuncturist, and she does a lot of human design work and integrated with her acupuncturist, and she has projector clients, and she blocks out more time for the projectors because they need to talk things out. Well, her projector clients that need more time, they end up talking so much that they solve their own problems. I mean, they still receive the acupuncture, but the other stuff, they figure it out on their own. And that's how projectors are designed. They're designed to do that. Projectors also need lots of love and lots of recognition. And so with my projector son, I say this to all my kids, but especially with him, it's super important that he hears it, where my other kids, it's not so much important, because he's the only one that he has an open G, and he's a projector. And so I'm telling him, I'm so glad you're a part of this family. Thank you so much for being a part of this family. How can mom support you? Did mom give you enough attention today? How can I give you more attention that you recognize? I thought I was giving you attention when I was doing this, but I guess I wasn't. How can I give you attention that you're going to recognize? If he cooks for his brother, I tell him, thank you so much. You really care about this family. And he says, like he responds to those things. And so it's going to take you giving your daughter that unconditional attention that she's craving. And let me tell you something. It's not because you haven't been doing that whenever she was a little kid. It's something that as kids go through puberty, they really pull away from their parents more, and the parents give them that space. But then the kids can also interpret that as, oh, my parent doesn't love me anymore. And because guys, you have an older son, they don't always need as much attention as the girls. It can seem like, or even energetically, it may be easier to connect with your son energetically than with your daughter. And so she can see that or feel that and be mad about it. And it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's just that you don't know what her perception is. And so whenever you have that heart-to-heart talk with her, start it with, look, I'm reading this book because I'm desperate to show you that I love you. And I feel like I don't know how to do that. I feel like I've hurt you deeply, and I want to do whatever I can to start healing that. That doesn't, and have some boundaries for yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to give her money. Not that she would ask for that, but don't think that you have to drop your job and stay home with her, or something to that magnitude. You want to be appropriate depending on her age, and you want to give her space and freedom to learn and experiment on her own. But you also want to be that stability for her, which I know you are, because you care about her. You looked for her, and when you found her, that oh my God. And she saw that and she knew, okay, my mom cares about me, good. But she needed to know that. Also, you want to check your daughter. If she's on the computer a lot and in her room a lot, you want to know what's going on with her. You don't want her meeting people at a park and turning her phone off. And you want to talk to her about those things. Like, look, if you're going to turn your phone on airplane mode, that's not okay. And the next time you do that, we're going to talk about some consequences now that will happen next time. Also, and if I feel like you left to go meet somebody and you didn't tell me about them, I'm going to start checking the history on your computer, or putting a thing on her computer where it logs the keystrokes. And telling her, saying, look, these are ways that I can invade your privacy, or you can be open and honest with me until we get that bond and that connection going. What choices do we have? Tell me, and I'm open to hearing yours, and I'm going to tell you what I've thought of. But you definitely want to be, you want to be open. You don't want to say, here's what I want from you. I want you to be in nature, and I want you to come eat with us, and I want this, and I want that. You don't want to be like that at all. You want to be like, what is going on with you? I've seen some really big changes. You're not in school anymore. You're not outside energetically. Did something happen to you that I'm not aware of? What's been going on? How long has it been going on? When did you start feeling this way? And really just be open and focused on her. And then say, okay, now that we've had this talk, I have some suggestions about what I can do. Can you please let me know if you would recognize these things as me caring it for you? I'm going to start eating with you in your room, or I'm going to have you come down and eat with the family, or I'm going to start taking you on a date once a week, or whatever y'all decide.
Well, she refuses to go because we had this thing, mommy date, daddy date.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't want to go out with me. But she's like, oh, I don't want to go out with you. So what we've done is arrange time for my projector husband to go out with her, like have daddy dates, because she says, oh, I want to spend with dad. And so that's been brilliant. Him booking an overnight breakaway to watch motor racing, and so then she's been chatting with her dad. So at least we've had the communication open with at least one of us.
Yeah. Good, great.
But I can see how, because my husband in the early years sort of worked long hours, and I've been a stay-at-home mom. So it's been because me, Matthew, and Melissa, and obviously I only found out about Melissa, her design last year. So for the first 12 years, she felt like a third wheel. And so it's almost like I can see the root thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Energetically, because it was always the three of us, all the time going out. So it's like, I don't know, it's like, how do you undo that energetic damage as such of 12 years? Because obviously when I found out about her design, she was in a group of girls of 5 friends, and she felt like the third wheel. And so I explained to her, you need to find a friend, that it's just the two of you, or if you're having sleepovers. She was like, oh, I want my 2 friends to come over. And I would say, no, maybe just one friend, and you can have the other friend next week, and so she's got one close friend that's here right now. But it's like her only friend, so it's been particularly being out of school. But how do you undo that damage? It's been 12 years of feeling a third wheel.
First, don't assume that you I'm telling you this for your 13-year-old daughter, okay? Yeah. Don't assume that you know your daughter. And it's not that you don't know her. You know your daughter. I know that. You have her human design. You know that. As a teenager does not want to be understood. They don't want to be predictable, okay? What I would suggest is when you talk to her, instead of saying, oh, you don't need 2 friends coming over, just 1. You want to ask her, are you sure you want both of them? Are you going to feel comfortable if both of them are here? Would it be easier for you if just 1 came? And let her talk it out. Because and I do this. I
can see us changing my language.
Human design, this and that. They do not like that. And they feel really controlled and they lose their power. And as a manifesting generator, it's very easy you like to move fast. You need to move fast. And projectors don't slow you down per se, but they move at a different pace. And that's great that they move at a pace. They have their purpose for moving at their pace. That is not your purpose. But whenever you're with your teenage daughter and you want to make a connection with her, you need to really be prepared to block out some time to listen. And you are not offering advice. You are asking her if you can give her advice. You are not saying, well, here's what you need to do. Or according to your human design, this is what you can do. You are saying, I have some suggestions. Would you like to hear them? Or if you want both of your friends to come over, that's cool. But I want to make sure that you're comfortable. Are you going to be comfortable with 2 girls? Or are you going to be more comfortable if just 1 comes this weekend and then 1 comes next weekend? And letting her know she has a lot of choices that are appropriate. It's not like, do you want to do your homework today or not? It's, do you want to do your homework now or do you want to do your homework in a couple of hours? It's giving her choices within this parameter so that she feels powerful. And when you're asking her what she wants, then she feels heard and recognized.
That's huge for me. I mean, it's like quite a big aha, you sharing that, because I can see how my language has been quite like domineering. And hence the power struggle since last year. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out here and having the courage to share that with us. It's really important, and I really appreciate it.
Well, Tanya, thank you for sharing. I was just going to say, part of my job is to do the gentle ding, but James was bringing it up. James is like doing my segue there. Is it possible that there's more details that can be talked about? Do you have something that you want to share about parenting, that you're going to do for parenting techniques? And just as in a wrap up, can you go over again, like there's 4 levels of mistaken motivation, so that everyone, it's like they build on one another. Is that correct? Or
so thank you, Tania, so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate that. Took a lot of courage. And I think a lot of us have similar issues with our kids and with our parents. I know I certainly do, and I've had to work through those. And when you understand the needs of your child, then you can understand what need needs to be met, what need isn't getting met, what need do they need some more support with and not. And so it starts with attention. Every child needs attention. Every adult needs attention. It's a legitimate need that never goes away. And so if that need doesn't get met, then it goes into the need for power. And the need for power is for a child to feel independent and in control, and that they have control over their situation. And so if you feel stubborn with your child, like, oh, you're going to do this, and you feel like you're forcing them to do things, or you're not going to let them do something, then that is a power struggle, because you, the parent, are internally feeling that stubbornness and that forcefulness. If your child's power needs aren't getting met, then they go into what's called inadequacy. And that's whenever you, the parent, are confused. Like, why are you not able to complete this task that I've given you, or that the teacher's given you, or that you have? And the child will shriek away from those things. The child will not put any effort out anymore, and it'll destroy a parent, because a parent wants the best for their child. They want their child to engage in life and go have experiences and get messy and make some mistakes. And to see your child kind of give up is just tears us up as parents. And so if your child's in that state, they need more of your attention. They need more choices and more power. And it takes more time to get them out of that, because it's taken a long time to get to that place. And they've either been really criticized really deeply. My brother, when he was in, I think it was second grade, his teacher criticized him like crazy. She called him all kinds of names, stupid and this and that. And his third grade teacher saw and picked up on his lack of motivation and started really ingraining a sense of inner confidence within him. And instead of saying, oh, look, you did so great, Jared, you did so wonderful, she started telling him, how did you do that? Why did you do that? That's really good. What made you think of this? What do you like about your picture? And he started coming out of that. He started trying more and experiencing more. And my mom saw him become more confident. And so if your child is in that stage where they've just kind of given up, you know what they need. And it's going to take more time to work with your child so that they can come out of that and start becoming more capable and more independent. So if you have a 2-year-old, this also happens sometimes whenever you're teaching your kids something new. So if you're teaching your 2-year-old how to tie their shoes, it's going to take a lot of time. But once they learn it, then they can always tie their shoes. And so, or that may not be 2, actually. They may be older for 2. I forgot. I think my kids were like 4 or 5 when they started tying their shoes. But whenever they're learning something new, that can also happen. And so you want to take more time and effort while they're learning that new thing until they can accomplish it and do it on their own without your help. And you have to set boundaries for that. Like, okay, I'm going to let you do it this time. When my kids learn how to cook, I'm with them. At first I do it for them and I show them, then I'm with them. And then I say, okay, I'm just going to watch you do it. And then, okay, I'm going to go into the other room while you do it, so that they know there's going to be a time where they aren't completely relying on me. They're going to do it on their own. And usually by that time they're like, okay, whatever, bye. They're not like, oh my God, no, don't leave, you know? So if that need doesn't get met, their need to feel capable, then what happens is they go into revenge. And what revenge looks like is your child wants to hurt you. Looks like your child wants to break your stuff that you really like. You know, your family vase that has been in your family for years. Your child breaks that. Or your teenager throws a huge party and trashes the house and just completely doesn't care. They do that because they want to see that you care about them. When you get upset, it's because you care. If your kid broke the vase and you were like, okay, whatever, they can't get a reaction out of you, then they know that you don't love them, right? That's the story that they're probably telling themselves. And so those are the 4 needs that everyone has. And whenever those needs don't get met and they go into revenge, the need that they're asking you for is love. They're needing your unconditional love. Like, no matter what I do, are you going to love me? If I break your stuff, if I trash your house, are you going to love me? And so they understand that they have your love whenever you're giving them that one-on-one attention, whenever you are letting them make choices for themselves so that they feel powerful, and whenever you're teaching them how to be capable step by step by step, and then letting them do it on their own, and then letting them do it without you, so that they know that whether my mom's here or not, or whether my teacher's here or not, I can do this. I can learn how to do this, or I can break it down into smaller steps and do this. So the reason I am having this Facebook Live is because I'm going to be teaching a class on these 4 needs. I'm going to be teaching a class, and it's going to be for 5 weeks, but one week, we're going to have one class once a week. Yes. And the class is going to be 90 minutes. I'm going to be teaching information, and then I'm going to have an open Q&A so that you can get some live coaching like Tania did and was courageous to do. You can tell me, okay, this is what's going on, or this just happened, or this and that, and we can talk about how to support you as a parent so that you can support your kids. And whenever your kids are thriving, you are going to be thriving too, because your kids will be emulating you. So the first week we're going to go over attention, and there is a formula to giving someone attention. If you think that you can have the TV on and have a conversation with your child, no, they don't feel the attention. They don't feel the love that you have for them whenever you do that. And so there's an actual formula that we're going to talk about, a way to give your child undivided attention and to really feel their attention cup up so that they don't go looking for it from their peers, and they don't seek their peers' approval, because whenever they have your attention, the person that they long for, the person that they love, their parent, that is the attention that is the foundation for all other attention. The second week, we're going to talk about power. How can you empower your child? How can you support your child so that they feel incredibly powerful, like they can do anything, and they totally are appreciative of you for allowing them the power that they feel in their lives. And then whenever they go out into the world, they can have that power, and they're not easily persuaded. They are not taken advantage of. They're not put under pressure. They know how to say no or yes or whatever's needed in the situation. The third week, we're going to talk about inadequacy, how to support your child so that they feel completely capable, so that they can do anything. And if they can't do anything, they know what they need to do so that they can accomplish a goal. A lot of times we know we can do things, but we don't know how we do it. For example, have you ever cooked a meal and it tasted really good? And then you cooked another meal, the same exact thing, and it didn't taste that good? Sometimes we know how to do it and sometimes we don't. Well, there's a way to always know how to do something. It takes planning. It takes talking about things and supporting that child through whatever task they're given. And whenever they know how to do that, know how to ask for help, and know how to break things down into smaller pieces, they feel incredibly capable. And then you can start giving them more responsibilities. And when a child has more responsibilities, you may think that the myth that no child wants to help out around the house, when a child can contribute to their family and they're being appreciated for that contribution, they feel incredible. And that's how they develop their confidence, which as parents, we all want our kids to have, right? And then lastly, how to love your child unconditionally. Not like you need me to teach you how to do that, right? You already love your child unconditionally, but how can you show your child that you love them unconditionally? Because sometimes we struggle doing that, right? And so the fifth week, we're going to have some integration. We're going to be talking about a few other techniques on how to resolve conflicts that come up, and how to have family meetings, and how to really have a cohesive family that's harmonic, that talks to each other and that respects each other, and that can trust each other whenever things come up. So that is what I wanted to share with you. I am going to be emailing y'all the information for that class, which will begin in a couple of weeks. And so if y'all are interested, I hope y'all sign up for it. I love kids, but I love parents even more, because y'all are the ones raising the kids and having to deal with all the kids and how they're experiences, I'll say. And so nothing makes me more happier than to talk to parents and to share the information that I have. And it's always fun to come to class and learn something new and hear something, a technique that another parent learned or just made up or did or something. And so I really appreciate that time, and it supports me as well. So be looking in your emails for that soon. And if you are on Facebook and you want to private message me, or you want to ask how to get the information to that class, just put in your information there, a little message, and I will respond to you with that information. And I want to open it up one more time. Are there any other questions?
So do you also do private sessions?
Yes. Oh, yes, exactly, James. I do private sessions. Yes, absolutely. I can definitely give you information about that too. I have a website, KristenShorter.com, www.KristenShorter.com, and it's KRISTIN, and then shorter, like I'm shorter than you. But all that will be in the email, so you don't have to worry about taking notes or anything. But I do private sessions, and I would be honored to have a private session with anyone. And I can give you more information about that as well.
Well, you're getting thank you. It's been very interesting.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate all of y'all. And I hope to see y'all soon. And if there's anything y'all have that I didn't cover or anything else that comes up later, you're like, hey, well, what about this? Leave it down there. I'm going to be checking that. I will respond to it. I'm going to see, I'm going to be seeing it and keeping a pulse on it, and we'll respond to it and make sure that y'all get all the support that y'all need from this webinar. All righty. Thank you, Cindy, so much for being an amazing host and keeping track of the time and and monitoring and having helping monitor me. I really appreciate that. All right, y'all. I will talk to y'all later. Have a great weekend. Mwah.